So from the public safety's perspective, I really can't emphasize enough the importance of building these community partnerships to our PSD's goal of successful offender outcomes. For a time, for many years now, we've been kind of trying to be self-contained. We try to have our own programs, and we're trying to do, implement strategies within our own agency, but that only can take us so far. And so our involvement with Going Home has really kind of opened our eyes and has made it has made it possible for PSD employees here and with our goal to work with offenders and re-entry into the community. I can say, I guess it was the previous slide, but anyhow, it's not just public safety. There's many government agencies as well. Probation is very much involved, parole, and some of them are here today. Even in West Hawaii, the West Hawaii Coalition, Going Home Coalition, is pretty much, it's a small group, but it's run by Judge Strantz and, supported primarily by Judge Strantz and some of the judiciary officials there. So what I want to talk about is, you looked at that long list of Going Home members, and I asked myself, like, we got them to the table, now why does everyone keep coming back? What draws them back to us? And I think that, I kind of think about four things. One is the endorsement of the mayor's office, of course, a commitment to this community and the offender population, but also maybe, the structure of our organization lends to some of that, as well as the values that the Going Home Consortium, kind of bases our practices on. So I want to talk a little bit about the structure of Going Home. Basically, we have the large part of the consortium is based out of East Hawaii. So most partners are in East Hawaii, but West Hawaii does have a small coalition, like I mentioned before. We have monthly meetings, and in our meetings, we video conference with the West Hawaii side. So we're all on the table together discussing our projects. Everybody kind of knows what's going on. We're broken up into committees, and the committees are based on comprised of agencies and their specialties and skills. And we looked at, when we first started organizing and looking at our committees and what kind of committees we're going to form, what we did was we looked at we took a snapshot of the offender population at HCCC and looked at what their needs were in terms of, employment, jobs, those kinds of things. And interestingly, it follows the national trends that say, these are the high-risk areas for offenders when they're coming out: employment, housing, family ties. And so that kind of helped us in organizing and setting up our committees. And so each agency or organization that comes to the table, we ask them to sit on whatever committee you think you can contribute to. And if there's not a committee there, maybe you can hui together and start something. We've had several committees that maybe came together for a specific purpose, and then once we met that objective, we kind of disbanded and then kind of moved to other places. But there's about 12 or 13 pretty solid committees that meet pretty regularly. And we also have an executive committee made up of the committee chairs. And we meet regularly also to plan and kind of do the overall planning for Going Home. So that's kind of like the structure. And then we also have HIWEDO as a nonprofit arm. And I think throughout today's breakout sessions, you're going to hear more about the committee's works, different committees and what they do, and then also a little bit more about the important role that HIWEDO as a nonprofit plays in our organization as well. Some of the successes. We have a cold case management committee, and that's it's pretty unique in that what it does is it brings together different representatives from different agencies: parole, workforce, probation, alulike. Initially it was around workforce kind of issues, and they sit and they meet and they kind of it's definitely that co-case management. They talk about what resources each individual agency has, how to best use those resources, not to duplicate services. They talk about individual cases. And so that approach has been a real success for this Going Home Consortium. So a few years back, the legislature was nice enough to approve some funding for us to construct a building at the Halinani site to support Going Home's transitional and educational programs. And like what Blaine said, this was really important. It was symbolic because it was actually something that we could see for our efforts, but it was also important because this now gives us a venue to hold these classes, to build, upon the programs that we're starting, and someplace where we all can meet as well. And so I guess in this picture, it was a groundbreaking ceremony. And construction began in October, and then our program started in January. And this afternoon, for those of you who are going to go to Halinani for the site visit, you'll hear more from Ruth at HCCC about some of the programs that she's offering there, and you'll get to see the building as well. And then I think in the next slide, this is the construction, and I just kind of wanted to mention that one of the important things about this building as well was that it was built entirely by our inmates at Kulani. And so a lot of sweat equity went into it. And it was also an example of, kind of this skill building for offenders and how important it was, or it is for them. And then they also got to kind of put their, energy into this building that later they could benefit from, or, others for years to come. So that's the construction of the building. I think the next slide, okay, so another success is the transitional housing. And I just wanted to talk real brief about the OSM's Punahawai Ola program, which, I think if you're from the Big Island, you've heard about it. It's a transitional program for offenders. They offer a slew of services there, and they have a great staff, and Brandy is in charge of that. So this afternoon, again, if you elect to go to on a site visit to Punahawai Ola, you'll be able to learn more about what they're doing there. And then the next slide. Okay, so what worked for us, our values? Again, collaboration. Now, somebody once told me that the definition of collaboration was doing something with someone that you couldn't do yourself, accomplishing something with somebody else that you couldn't do alone. And really, I think that's the spirit of what we're doing. It's more than just, I will help you, and, we kind of work together. But it's something that we cannot do by ourselves. And none of us in this, that are part of Going Home could accomplish what we've accomplished or are working on individually or independently. So collaboration, of course, is the big piece. It's a community-based effort, and criminal justice partners are involved. We are an equal partner. We sit on the table equally next to everyone else. So I think that's important to mention. Our organization is inclusive. Everybody's welcome. You can come if you want. You don't have to come if you don't want. You don't have to sign in. And if you're interested in joining us, please do so. And I think Brandy mentioned the next meeting. There's an announcement in your packet. So the Going Home is comprehensive. The work I think that we do is comprehensive. We try and target, like I said, all the needs of offenders. There are some pieces that we wish that we could kind of grow, particularly in like the mental health and health field and in the cultural area. So that's something that we're working on. Hey, you're too fast. Go back, please. I missed that. Anyhow, okay. Consensus decision making. I think Andy mentioned that. Of course, respect for each other. We don't always agree, but we agree to disagree, and we do that respectfully. And then again, the most important core is a belief in the potential of offenders, and that they are going to come home and be our neighbor. They are our brothers, our sisters, our cousins, and just the fact that they're going to come home too. And we want to set them up so that they're successful, and their success is our success.